Alright there guys, and welcome back to a new video. And today I've got the video that you should have been expecting. It's time for my thoughts on Kaguya-Sama Love is War Season 2. That's right. On Saturday, the final episode of Season 2 was released, which brings the second season to a close, and what a very interesting ending this season has. Now, a bit of backstory of my history with this series. I was actually watching the first season at the very end of 2019. Season 1 of Love is War was actually one of the very first shows that released in 2019, and it was getting memed everywhere. Mostly with Chika hitting Ishigami over the head with a newspaper. And the second and it just barely did not make it into my top 5 anime of 2019 list. It just barely missed out. But I'm done with Season 2, so let's talk about it. Season 2 begins off pretty slowly with the 4 main members of the student council, Shirogane, Kaguya, Ishigami, and Chika, playing a board game. And I briefly did mention this board game during my LGBT in anime video I made at the start of the month. And I talked about how every time Chika or Shirogane get a specific card that they land on, their facial expressions are pure shock. Especially about the one where we had Shirogane marries Chika. So we have that. We have an image of what it would look like if those two got married. Then we have Kaguya and the president image until Ishigami points out that she had a distrust all men card. So then it became Kaguya and Chika. If that actually happened, Chika would make Kaguya's life hell if they got married and lived together. She just would. But yeah, the first 2 episodes, we don't see much change in the tone from Season 1. But we do have Kaguya reminisce a little bit about the fireworks that Shirogane showed her at the very end of Season 1. But then, after the first 2 episodes were pretty slow, episode 3 just kicks it up a notch. As this episode was very interesting because everything Kaguya thought of in her plan, because as you guys may obviously know, the whole point of the show, the plot, is Kaguya and the president, Shirogane, both have feelings for each other. But the whole premise of the show is they know the other one, they know the other one likes them, but neither of them want to confess. Instead, they're trying to use their brains in order to try and come up with a plan to back the other one mentally and psychologically into a corner, so they have to confess. That's the whole premise of the show. That's what they were doing in Season 1. No change here, they're still doing it in Season 2. And whatever Kaguya thought of, whether it was she thought of what she wanted Shirogane to say to her, and then he says it while she's still thinking about it, or the fact that she thinks maybe if I look cold, he'll put his jacket over me. He already went and did that before she'd even thought, but while she just started thinking about it. Or they were both lying down on the roof of the school looking at the stars, and Shirogane went into an entire monologue about stars, where Kaguya is not particularly listening. She's trying to comprehend that everything she has thought of in her head for this plan, Shirogane has already done before she's even finished thinking about it. And then, right at the end, of course, Shirogane and everyone else in the student council are stepping down for that year. But once they get back to Shirogane's house... when they get back to Kaguya's house, it's just her and Shirogane. And just like the whole theme of the episode, where he's one step ahead of her in everything, he's one step ahead of her again. She wants him to be the rerun for president of the student council. He's already one step ahead of her and is already on his way to do that. And since Shirogane has been the president for the last year of their school, surely he's a shoo-in to do it again, to win it again. Not entirely, because we have a brand new competitor, Miko Lino, a brand new character to this season. She has pretty much failed in everything she's ever gone for. Every single time she's gone for the student council in anything, whether it was elementary or middle school, she has never come first. She always wants to be reasonable, but she never wins. And she's the one going up against Shirogane for the student council president. And you probably know who she is, since there's a lot of memes about her, with the format of the top one is her looking confident when she's speaking, the other one is her looking flustered when she's speaking. You probably know what meme I'm referring to. But just before the student council election and campaigns get off and running, Kaguya's maid, Hayasaka, shows us a side of her we've never seen before, because Kaguya challenges to Hayasaka to try and make the president fall for her. So she organises a time for Shirogane and Hayasaka to meet, and her appearance looks completely different to what we're used to. As what we're used to is her wearing a side pony, her having a side ponytail, having a questionably short skirt, questionable uniform, and green painted nails. Not so much this time. Her hair is down, her clothing is very different, and she even speaks differently. You wouldn't even know it was her unless you'd seen the preparation beforehand. So Shirogane and Hayasaka essentially go on a date. But while Hayasaka's trying to impress Shirogane, Kaguya is lurking in the background. And then Hayasaka ends up falling asleep. So she doesn't succeed on making Shirogane fall for her. Then she goes back to her normal appearance and tells Kaguya that she didn't say she could do it in one day. And then we have the next meme that you've probably seen a lot of, where Shirogane is outside of Kaguya's classroom wanting to speak to her about how to do the student council campaign. And this is where the Hayasaka "hey hey" meme comes into play. That happens. Then Kaguya looks all flustered and embarrassed because Shirogane's asking to talk to her about something important in front of her whole class. So that gets them thinking, ooh, are the two of them dating? No, they still are not dating. And then Shirogane, Chika, Kaguya and Ishigami all meet Miko Lino. And Miko has a pretty high distaste for Ishigami. A lot like everybody in the show, apart from the student council. And she tries to make Shirogane look bad in her campaign, while Shirogane's campaign is all about what you've already had as the student council president because he's already done it once. Then it comes to the big speech, where Shirogane has to face off against Miko in a debate in front of the whole school. But Miko gets very, very flustered and can't get her words out. So in order to stop this from being in a complete car crash, Shirogane walks on stage himself and backs her into a corner, metaphorically, so she has to speak up. So then she gives a pretty damn good speech to Shirogane, to the whole school. Again, trying to make Shirogane look bad, but on the results of election day, Shirogane comes out as the winner, meaning he retains his position as student council president, with Kaguya, Ishigami and Chika all rejoining the student council as well. But here's the interesting part. Shirogane actually offers Miko to join the student council with them, which leads to quite a funny running joke throughout the rest of the season. Now you probably had a feeling that Miko was already going to be part of the student council. Sorry about that. You probably had a feeling that Miko was going to become part of the student council anyway, because in the opening for season 2, which is called Daddy Daddy Do, which in my opinion is actually better than the first season's opening, but just. I love both openings. But Daddy Daddy Do just outshines Love Dramatic for me. You see in that opening that Miko is with Chika and Ishigami when they're going towards the student council room. But every time Miko enters the student council room, she always enters it at the wrong time. One of the times that she enters, it looks like Kaguya is doing dirty things to Shirogane, even though she isn't. The next time she comes in is Ishigami and Shirogane duct taping Chika's mouth shut because she's spoiling a manga. Now the manga part, this was easily my favourite scene in the whole season. A little bit earlier in that episode, Shirogane's sister, Kei, is crying, so he goes into the room and asks her what's wrong, did something happen at school? And she says no, she's crying over this manga she was reading. And he says, oh, just manga? So she says, instead of looking down on me, why don't you read it for yourself? I bet you'll cry too. And he says, yeah, right, like I'd ever cry over manga. And the very next scene is him sitting in the bath, crying, with the circus music playing. If you've watched the first season or the second season, you'll understand what I mean by circus music. That's the best way I can describe it. And that scene actually made me, literally made me lol. I actually laughed out loud when that scene came on, because it was that funny. Because for some reason, the circus music, it makes any scene that it's in funny. And I don't know how it does it, but it does. So she comes into the room to see everyone's mouths, apart from Kaguya's, duct taped, and she's creeped out, so she runs away again. Then Kaguya and the president end up in the sports storage room, and the door gets locked behind them. I wonder where this is going. A little bit of a cliche in romance anime, isn't it? That are set in high schools. Oh look, the male and female protagonists got locked in a storage room together, alone. So the two of them are both thinking in their head, ooh, this could be an opportunity. So they both pretend to be super, super scared that they're locked inside, but neither of them actually are scared. And they probably know that the other one is faking it. Then they manage to fall on top of what looks like a giant snooker table, where it looks like they're about to kiss, and then, right on cue, Miko opens the door and sees them. And then Kaguya runs to Miko, pretending that Shirogane was about to sexually assault her or something. Which he wasn't. So Miko starts overthinking it, and thinking that Shirogane is actually a dirty pervert. But then her best friend tells her she's probably not correct about that. Then she thinks that Kaguya is actually the villainous one. So she goes up to her and asks her what does she think of Shirogane, which Kaguya proceeds to run out of the student council room. Next, Miko is actually inside the student council room and hasn't run off yet for once. Where Chika tells her that maybe she should just relax a little bit, and maybe she should break a school rule or two once in a while. She says, try to go an entire hour without getting mad at someone. Ishigami pulls out whatever games console or handheld console he was using and puts his feet up on the table. Then him and Shirogane start playing a version of Mario Kart on the projector that's inside of the student council room, while Chika starts playing around with filters on her phone, taking pictures of Miko and Kaguya, and that's where all the ugly meme faces are. And then Kaguya faints for some reason. She wakes up in the hospital, and the doctor tells her that she fainted because of something to do with love. Meaning she's suppressed her feelings so hard for Shirogane because of the battle of wits she has with him to make him confess before her. She actually fainted. And started avoiding him for the next few days. Meanwhile, we had another version of the whole volleyball teaching thing from the first season. If you remember, Shirogane could not play volleyball no matter how hard he tried, so Chika had to teach him, and that's where the "I raised that boy" meme came from. Well, this time he has singing and dancing to learn from Chika. As when they were singing the schools, the traditional song that they always sang in the school, Shirogane was actually just lip-syncing to the song, and I wasn't actually singing, and Chika figured it out. But she taught him how to sing relatively well, and then he could start doing it. Then, the dance he had to learn was the Soran dance, which is a real dance. It isn't a dance that they just made up for the show. The Soran dance is actually a real dance in Japan. And he's pretty awful at that too. And Chika gets so tired of trying to teach him because he's so bad that they even throw in the circus music again to add another section of comedy to the scene. Then, in the student council room, Kaguya starts to teach him, and that's where we get the next meme of Chika sitting on the chair going, "Please continue." And she looks like she's about to murder someone when she says it. But then Kaguya and Chika both grab hold of one of Shirogane's arms each and start pulling him. So he's going like this. But that turned out to be a stroke of genius, because that allows Shirogane to start doing the Soran dance perfectly, which was just what he needed. Next up, we had the sports festival, and this episode is definitely my favourite episode of the entire season. Oh, and a quick side note, Ishigami joined the cheerleading club, and the men have to wear the guys have to wear the girls' uniforms, and the girls have to wear the guys' uniforms. I don't know why that's the idea for cheerleading, but it is. So Ishigami borrows Kaguya's uniform, and if you've seen the manga, you'll see that Ishigami pulls off the female uniform quite well. But a girl that Ishigami actually knew from the past came to the sports festival specifically to see him. And to tell him that she hates him. And we spend a lot of this episode in Ishigami's backstory of how a girl he didn't like per se, but she always talked to him, because back in middle school he had no friends. I think it was middle school. He had no friends, and this girl called Kyoko always came up to him and talked to him, even though he never did anything for her to talk to him. But she still did. Then he found out she had a boyfriend. But one day when he was sitting at the top of some stairs round the corner, playing on a handheld console, he heard her boyfriend, on the phone to another girl. So Ishigami found out that this guy was cheating on her. But no matter what he did, she wouldn't believe him that he was cheating on her. So what entails is Ishigami actually beats the crap out of Kyoko's boyfriend, and then gets called crazy by everyone because they don't believe him when he says that Kyoko's boyfriend is cheating on her. But Ishigami was the one who knew, and he was the one that he was right. Then he gets suspended from school, and his dad tells him to write an apology letter, of which he doesn't. Then, one day out of nowhere, Shirogane comes to Ishigami's house and tells him, here's the letter of apology you're going to write. All it says on it is, shut up, dumbass. Because Shirogane actually did some investigating into Kyoko's boyfriend and was right, and discovered that Ishigami was right about it. However, Kyoko still hadn't forgiven Ishigami, even though her boyfriend dumped her. She still didn't forgive Ishigami despite he was right. So Ishigami is in the track relay race, and he is given a bunch of encouragement from Chika, from Kaguya, from Shirogane, and even a very, very quiet bit of encouragement from Miko. But he just barely does not manage to win his relay race. But despite losing, he actually was praised way more. And also, he finally got the opportunity to say, shut up, dumbass, to Kyoko when she was slating him just before he started running. An incredibly satisfying moment, and Ishigami gets the best character development out of any character in this season. And he is my favourite character. Because he's actually the most relatable character out of the 4 main cast of the show. Then we get to the final episode of Season 2, and this one made no sense in my opinion. This one was very strange. And I only watched it 2 days ago. But this episode did not make any sense. Basically, Kaguya has the principal wanting to take a photo of everybody in the student council, and Kaguya has said her family's policy is her face can't appear in any media, but her friends want her to be in the photo so she can take it on her own phone, which is a flip phone still, and a gust of wind makes her drop it, and it falls off the roof onto the ground and breaks. So Kaguya and Hayasaka go and buy her a new phone, which is a smartphone, which is what she should have been using anyway. Why she was still using a flip phone, I don't know. But even that turned out to be a difficult thing to do, because she was thinking what would happen if Shirogane noticed that she bought the exact same phone as his. And then they even played the how cute meme that Kaguya has. She barely even says that throughout this season. Like, season 1 she said that a lot, season 2 she pretty much never says it. Shirogane doesn't say it either, but whenever Kaguya thinks of Shirogane saying it, that's kind of the only time it's ever said. Or when Shirogane's thinking, that's what Kaguya might say. That's the only time that how cute meme for Kaguya ever gets played. But she buys herself a smartphone and finally installs a social media app called Line, which I still don't really know what it is. But the Shirogane created a group for the student council members. So himself, Kaguya, Ishigami, Chika, and Miko. Then they start playing a game where they have to pump a balloon, which makes no sense. And Kaguya's thinking Kaguya doesn't really want to be involved, but she doesn't want to lose. So she thinks maybe Chika could pop it if she eats a tangerine. Chika declines, and later on starts eating it just as Shirogane is about to have his go. But then Chika eats a part of the tangerine. Part of it goes spiraling away past the two of them, hits the balloon. And do you remember in the opening of season 1 where Kaguya and Shirogane fire those love guns at each other and there's a massive pink explosion around the school? That explosion is literally what happens. A giant pink explosion around the school and pretty much destroys it, which doesn't make any sense. Kaguya and Shirogane both wake. Shirogane offers his hand to Kaguya, and the two of them are thinking, right, this is the time we can make the other one confess. But they don't. And then the season ends. So we have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, if you've read the manga, you probably do know what's going to happen. But for me, I don't know what's going to happen. Is that the end of the show? Are we done with Love is War now? Was that the holy confession that we were waiting for? Or will we, around in April of 2021, will we be getting the start of Kaguya-Sama Love is War Season 3? I don't know. But overall, this was a great season. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Season 1. The show has definitely gotten better, in my opinion. And if there is a Season 3 on its way next year, I'll be there ready for it every single week an episode is released. As it's becoming a pretty unique romance anime, where it's, instead of just the regular will they won't they confess, they both know the other one. They're both trying to force the other one into confessing, and they're using whatever plans they can think of to try and make it work, but neither of them have managed to actually properly get the other one to confess yet. So that is going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, follow me on all my social medias. And if you want to know the next anime series that I'm going to be reviewing, then, like I did with Attack on Titan, follow me on Twitter at CallumSmith110 and check my Twitter banner. That's how you will figure out which show I will be reviewing next, starting next month. But until then, catch you later.